Now, some of the biggest names in the financial world are meeting here in Istanbul for the World Investment Conference. They have been discussing ways to ensure that investing in the future benefits more people and is sustainable. What does all that mean? We'll speak to one of the key figures at the conference in a moment, but first, Sourav Roy's report.
But it is instrumental.
Investment agencies and policymakers from more than 100 countries are meeting in Istanbul for the World Investment Conference. Their key focus is on sustainable and inclusive investment in developed and emerging economies.
Investments that's contributing to countries' well-being and at the same time contributing to transformation of their economy is now becoming important. Not like the old times. It must be beyond foreign, or it must be beyond being, direct. Now it has to be a part of the economy. It must provide some more value addition to the local economies, and it must be integrated with the local economies.
The forum is also discussing opening up of channels for foreign direct investment in emerging economies that will help local people. And officials from emerging economies also believe it to be the way forward.
Afghanistan, as one of the poorest countries, they have been somewhat neglected in the past developments in the region because of the conflicts and the war which were unfortunately there.
Although Istanbul is the host of the global summit this year, recent events in Turkey, such as terror attacks and an attempted coup, have raised questions over whether it can be a global financial hub. Recently, ratings agency Moody's downgraded Turkey's status to junk, a move which the Turkish government says was politically motivated.
As for Turkey, the country has had its own challenges in attracting investment. The attempted coup in July this year dented some investor confidence. But the country has been fast to recover, and the government has announced numerous policies to boost growth. And many believe it's just a matter of time that the country's economy starts expanding again.
Experts here say it is in the collective interest of emerging and developed economies to welcome inclusive investments and reject protectionist measures, so a more sustainable global economy can be achieved. Sourav Roy, TRT World.
Well, we are now joined by the president of the World Association of Investment Promotion Agency, Arda Ermut, joins us here in the studio. Arda, thank you very much for joining us on Money Talks. Just for our viewers, just to be clear, investment promotion agencies are things that you'll find pretty much in every country around the world, trying to drum up investment or trying to work out where to invest. Is that right?
Definitely. These are bodies usually related somehow to government, either under a ministry or directly attached to executive, the head of the execution, like we are, for example, directly attached to Prime Minister. They are trying usually to attract foreign direct investments to their country. Sometimes they are regional and they are on the national level too. But at the end, the main theme is to attract investment, but usually they are called investment promotion agencies because their duty is usually titled as promoting the investment environment of their respective countries.
Now, you brought them all here to Istanbul to facilitate exactly that, to increase investment in and out, and that prospers everybody?
Is actually it's a meeting that gathers the investment promotion agents from. For this meeting it was around 100 countries, and they get together for experience sharing and capacity building mainly because we are talking about the shrinking cage all over the world. Foreign direct investments, especially this year's expectation, is not very good.
Right. And why is that, do you think? Is the world becoming more protectionist? I mean, we've seen Brexit, now we're seeing the rise of people like Trump and so on.
Actually, according to talks we had today also in the panels, actually the main reasons seems like that, especially increasing protectionist rhetoric in many different countries, and seeing that especially in developed countries and in their politics is actually maybe affecting anything because these are the countries source of FDI. These are the countries, for example, United States still is #1 in exporting FDI to the world, and developing countries expecting these investments.
And so much investment is going to Asia, probably the majority now.
Actually, in the recent years, it became majority. If we were talking about, for example, 10 or 15 years ago, still the developed world was getting majority of the investments. But now the developing world, especially Asia, is taking.
Everybody's looking for fast-growing economies. Let's just talk about, bring it closer to home now for a moment. Let's talk about Turkey. It's been a difficult year for Turkey, an attempted coup, terrorist attacks. has, and of course a ratings downgrade from a certain agency. Tell me, how is FDI, foreign direct investment, in levels in Turkey now? Have they been affected?
Actually, we cannot say it's directly affected. Of course, these are important things especially for investment environment. But Turkey is an interesting country. For example, if you look from a longer perspective, until 2002, total volume of FDI came to Turkey was only 15 billion.
Right.
But after 2002 to up to today, thanks to the reforms and the developing economy and to many other measures taken, the total volume of FDI in the last 14 years is something like 170 billion.
Right.
So there has been a dramatic change.
More than a tenfold increase. Okay.
Definitely, but when we look at the share of Turkey in the total global FDI, it's something like 100%. But we believe that the potential is much higher than that. In the middle run, we are aiming to reach at least 1.5%. And Turkey, this is why trying to get a more fair share from this cake. But when we look at especially the events in the last 2 years, last year we had 2 elections successively, and this year there has been these events, the coup attempt and the crisis with Russia. These all affected. But last year, for example, when compared to previous year, we had a 32% increase in the FDI, and we attracted 16.5 billion US dollars. But this year, the first half was very difficult. There has been a decrease, something like 50%. But the interesting thing is, especially after the coup attempt, we saw a gradual increase, very persistently. And now again we hit the $1 billion FDI, the monthly threshold. And I think that from now on, there will be the last quarter will be a recovery period, and hopefully we will get.
Are those the vibrations you're getting from investors that they're looking to come back?
Actually, the feedback from investors, especially after the coup attempt, was quite positive because the investors already know the story. But especially for the ones who doesn't have too much idea about Turkey, of course we can talk about the perception gap.
Okay. Arda Ermut, thank you very much for joining us on Money Talks.
It's my pleasure.